There are moments that split life in two. Instants frozen in time that mark an unrecognizable before and after. One of them, the most brutal of my life, was when my wife walked into the kitchen, humming, carefree, saw me standing there, and her face distorted into a mask of sheer terror. My name is Fernando, and this is the story of how a simple, the trip was cancelled, ended up destroying her perfect mask, and turning my silence into the most precise and devastating revenge of her life. If you've ever discovered a truth by accident, but with timing so perfect it seemed like destiny's work, stay. Like this video, comment which country you're watching from, and subscribe for more stories where justice isn't expected, it's executed. My name is Fernando, I'm 38 years old, and for a long time, I thought my marriage was calm. Simple. Stable. No big dramas or overflowing passions, but solid. But calm, sometimes, is just the deceptive silence before the storm. I met Daniela 5 years ago. She was elegant, confident, with a sharp intelligence that wrapped around you and made you want to listen to her for hours. I was more reserved, more practical, a man of action rather than words. She had that spark, that special something that makes you feel life is a little brighter, a little more exciting than it really is. We got married fast. Maybe too fast, blinded by that spark. But I loved her. I loved her with my eyes closed, with absolute trust. And love with closed eyes is the one that hurts the most when you are finally forced to open them. I worked as a logistics supervisor at a transport company. Long shifts, sudden trips to solve problems at other branches, compromised weekends. Daniela always said she understood. She always said it was fine, that my work was important for our future. But over time I started noticing little things. Tiny cracks in our routine. Messages she read and didn't show me, quickly flipping the phone over. Quiet laughs while looking at the screen in bed. A new perfume, stronger, more seductive, that she wore just on the days I arrived late. An accidental and sudden tiredness just on the weekends I returned from a trip. But I trusted. Yes, I was naive. But I trusted because that's what you do when you love. Until that Thursday arrived. The day that changed everything. I was assigned a 2-day supervision trip to a neighboring city. I left early. Daniela kissed me at the door like it was nothing, with that naturalness that now gives me chills. Have a good trip, Fair. Take care. I'll miss you. Her smile was perfect. Too perfect. Almost rehearsed. I drove to the airport. But an unexpected, violent thunderstorm canceled all flights in the region. There was no way out. I decided to go back home, surprise her, spend the day together. I didn't call. I wanted to see her face of joy upon seeing me return. It was barely 9 in the morning when I put the key in the lock. I entered through the front door. I left the keys on the hallway table carefully so as not to make noise. I took a deep breath, smelling the scent of home. Absolute silence. Until I heard soft, barefoot steps coming from the hallway leading to the bedrooms. Daniela walked into the kitchen with a slight smile on her lips, her hair down and messy in a way that wasn't usual for that hour, her phone in her hand. But seeing me standing there, by the counter, she stopped dead in her tracks. As if she had hit an invisible wall. Her face changed completely in a fraction of a second. First, it was genuine surprise. Then, a visceral fear that dilated her pupils. And then, a strange contained rage, as if I were the intruder, as if I had done something terribly wrong by being in my own house. Didn't you leave? She asked, her voice cracking mid-sentence. I answered slowly, observing every micro-expression, without any emotion on my face. The trip was cancelled. Storm. In that instant she stood static. Rigid. Like a porcelain statue about to crack. Her eyes weren't seeing her husband who had returned safe and sound. They were seeing a problem. An obstacle. Something, or someone, that shouldn't be there to us. And her reaction was irrefutable proof. She tried to smile. A grotesque grimace that didn't reach her eyes. How strange, what a surprise. Well, better, right? But her eyes weren't smiling. They were scanning the room, the hallway, on high alert. And that was the exact minute when everything inside me, all those little doubts I had buried, came together and understood. It wasn't the first time she hoped I wouldn't be there. I stood still. Immobile. Watching. She swallowed hard, a visible movement in her throat. She glanced toward the hallway discreetly. Too discreetly. I'm going to the bathroom for a moment, she said, tense, taking a step back. She wouldn't be stupid enough to have the lover right there, would she? At 9 in the morning? But her behavior was that of a cornered animal. I let her go. But instead of moving, I simply said aloud, with a calm that froze the air, "Don't look for your phone." She stopped dead in the hallway. What? The one you hid under the sofa cushion. The other one. She froze. Her breath hitched in her chest. Panic tearing through her eyes. I hadn't consciously realized it before. But my subconscious had. I had seen a metallic glint under the cushion when I walked in. A second phone. Daniela slowly returned to the kitchen, and her mask began to fall to pieces. Fernando, I can explain, it's not what you think. I haven't even started asking, Daniela. Absolute silence. The tension was so thick it felt like the air was cutting the skin. She took a deep breath, like someone deciding to change strategy, to switch from defense to attack. Okay, yes. There is someone. But nothing serious happened. We just talk, he's a friend. In our house? At 9 in the morning? You weren't going to be here. I had the right to feel accompanied. I felt lonely. Accompanied by whom? By someone who listens to me, more than you. Someone who understands me. And that's why you walked in terrified when you saw me? That's why you hide a phone. Because I knew you'd make a scene. You're always so jealous. I let out a short, cold, humorless laugh. Daniela, you were waiting for someone. Right now. That's not true. Then, why were you wearing makeup at 9 in the morning? You never do that. Never. She drowned in her own lies. She didn't know what to say. I didn't need to go into the bedroom. I didn't need to look under the bed. She had already confessed with her fear. But there she made the fatal mistake. The mistake that defines villains in stories like this. The mistake of arrogance. She took a deep breath, lifted her chin, recovering that haughtiness I had mistaken for confidence, and said, if you were a real man, Fernando, if you gave me what I need, I wouldn't have needed to look for affection outside. That sentence pierced my chest like a stake of pure ice. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't break anything. Simply woke up. From that second on, the Fernando who was trying to save his marriage died. And the man who was building his revenge was born. I didn't make a scene. I didn't argue. I walked out of the kitchen with a calm that scared her more than any scream. I went to the entrance. I took my wallet, my keys, and I left the house. Without another word. I heard her screaming behind me, don't leave like this. Fernando, don't leave me here. But it was too late. She didn't realize that in my hand, gripped tight, I was carrying the phone she had hidden in the sofa. The phone she thought I hadn't seen. The phone where the whole truth was. Step 1, evidence. I went to a hotel. I connected the phone. It didn't have a password, or it was the same as mine. Rookie mistake. And there it was. Messages. Hundreds. Photos. Voice notes. Detailed plans. Schedules synchronized with my trips. And the worst, attacks on my person. Mockery. They laughed at me. At my job, my clothes, my way of being. And the sentence she had sent to her lover that very morning minutes before I arrived. He leaves tomorrow, free house all weekend. Come now. Free house. Free house. That was the phrase that ignited everything inside me. Step 2, lawyer. The next day, I went to the best divorce lawyer in the city. I showed him everything. I explained everything. We organized the strategy like a surgeon organizes his instruments before open-heart surgery. We discovered that she had used my additional credit card to pay for lunches and hotels with the lover, had lied about alleged work trips that were romantic getaways, had been siphoning small amounts of money into a separate account for months. And most insulting, she had consulted a lawyer weeks earlier to see how to ask for a separation, with half of everything, alleging abandonment. Half of everything. Even though I had financed her entire life, her studies, her whims. It wouldn't be like that. Step 3, the strike. I returned home 2 days later. Impenetrable. She was destroyed. Crying. Curled up on the sofa. But still trying to manipulate. Fernando. It was a mistake. It was foolishness. It meant nothing. I sat in front of her. I took her second phone out of my pocket and placed it gently on the coffee table. She paled. She went white as a sheet. No, you didn't open that, everything. I saw everything, Daniela. Fair. Please, you call me fair only when you want something or when you're scared. She collapsed. She cried as if she were being dragged to the end of the world. Don't destroy me, please. No, Daniela. You already did that yourself. I handed her a thick manila envelope. What is this? The divorce. With all the evidence attached. Every detail. Every betrayal. Every improper expense. Every mocking conversation. She tried to tear the envelope. I stopped her by grabbing her wrist firmly. This is a copy. The original is already at the courthouse and another copy is on its way to your parents' house. You're going to ruin my life. My parents are going to kill me. Daniela, you are going to ruin mine. And you didn't care. Silence. She fell to her knees. Literally. She crawled towards me. Please. I beg you. I stood up. I turned towards the door. And before leaving, she said her last sentence, a desperate whisper. I never thought you were capable of doing this to me. I loved you. I stopped without looking at her and replied, I never thought you were capable of deserving it. Months later, the divorce was concluded. It was fast and brutal. She lost the right to any alimony due to proven infidelity and credit card fraud, half the assets she tried to claim, the house, which was mine before the marriage, the lover, who fled as soon as he saw legal trouble, her reputation at work, when the rumors spread, and her family found out everything, ashamed. She ended up living in a rented tiny room, selling clothes online to pay her debts. I was reborn. Because sometimes, God allows evil to reveal itself at the exact minute. So you stop loving what is destroying you. Betrayal opens deep wounds, yes, but it also opens eyes. Pain doesn't define you. It transforms you into someone stronger, wiser. And when you give your broken heart to Christ, He puts justice where before there was only ruin and desolation. Write in the comments which part impacted you the most. Like, share this video, and subscribe for more stories where justice arrives at the perfect moment. And remember, these stories speak of human revenge, sometimes necessary to close cycles, but true rest, true peace, is in Jesus. Accept Him today. He is returning.